Welcome to the Maria Liberati Show, where food meets art, travel, and life. What does food mean to you? Well, this week I have two special guests. One is Kathy Davis, who is a plant-based lifestyle coach, author, and she's the CEO of an interesting company called Veg Inspired. And you know, everyone is embracing this plant-based lifestyle. So I wanted to have Kathy on to give us some tips on how to easily segue into a plant-based lifestyle, or at least just try it out. And Kathy has some interesting info. She is also an RVer who has some great recipes, really uncomplicated recipes to take on the road with you that are plant-based. And my second guest is Amanda Davis. Now, they're not related. They just happen to have the same last names. And Amanda Davis wrote this interesting book called 30,000 Stitches. And it has a special significance to a special date coming up, September 11th. Yes, we're all remembering that day and all of those that we lost that day. So Amanda's book, 30,000 Stitches, is a beautiful commemoration to that date. So stay tuned for those special guests. And also, don't forget to share and like this month's episode, the month of September, and you'll be entered in a drawing to win a copy of one of my books. Each month we give away a copy of one of my books from the Basic Art of Italian Cooking book series. So share the episodes if you do a review, and take a snapshot, put it on social media, share it on social media, share the review. You'll be entered in a giveaway for the end of the month when we give away a copy of one of my books. With rising gas prices, this may be the perfect time to discover close by your home locations that, carry produce and local farmers markets. And when I say close by, I mean maybe in your own backyard. Maybe you can put an herb garden or grow your own fruits and vegetables. Well, it's kind of late in the season, but depending on where you are, what you may be looking for is probably right outside or even inside your own front door. You could do your own little herb garden in your own kitchen. But no matter how small your abode is, you can find simple ways to make it your staycation place and find little charming spots within. And just think of the stress you'll eliminate by not having to search out or navigate the traffic to a faraway place. With beautiful end of the summer weather still hanging around, you can still capture a one-day staycation here or there, even though summer's almost gone. And what better addition to a staycation at home than a frittata with style? Well, not your ordinary frittata anyway. Try this frittata. It's a tortina con verdura. Verdura is vegetables. Tortina is a version of a little tort. And this is great for a late Sunday brunch or lunch or even a late dinner. So don't make a plain old frittata. Try this tort instead. It's almost an Italian style quiche made in the same way a frittata is made, but this is truly a frittata with style. So this is my recipe for this tortina con verdura, or a tort with vegetables. This serves 4. So it takes 6 eggs, 1 red pepper, 4 ounces of white or green asparagus, 1 zucchini, fresh zucchini, 1 garlic clove, 2 ounces of fresh arugula, 1 tablespoon of grated Parmigiano Reggiano cheese. You can use pecorino instead if you'd like. 1.5 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, salt, and pepper to taste. So you're going to wash and clean the vegetables, eliminate the seeds and the filament of the pepper, the white filament inside. Cut the pepper into small cubes, cut off the stem of the zucchini, cut the zucchini into cubes, gently wash the arugula leaves, cut off the tough ends of the asparagus and slice the remaining part into small slices. The tips, really. Boil a pot of water and cook the vegetables in the salted water, just a little dash of salt, for about 10 minutes. Drain the vegetables, then place on a paper towel to eliminate all the excess water. Then you're going to place about a tablespoon of the olive oil and 1 clove of garlic in a saucepan, and you're going to let that warm and saute the garlic until it's just golden. Then you're going to put all the vegetables in the saucepan and saute that with the olive oil and garlic. After you've sauteed for about 3 minutes, you're going to remove the garlic and also remove the pan from the heat. Set that aside. Break the eggs into a bowl, add a pinch of salt, freshly grated black pepper, and the grated Parmigiano Reggiano. Add the eggs into the saucepan with the vegetables. If you want to put a little bit of extra olive oil before you put the eggs in, you can do that. Put that back onto the heat, and you're going to cook it on one side for about 10 minutes. When it's firm, when the sides of the frittata are firm, you're going to flip it over onto a plate and flip the frittata, the uncooked side down, back onto the frying pan, the saute pan. Cook for another 5 minutes until it's firm. When both sides are firm, you're going to remove it from the heat, and you could place it on one large serving dish and serve it in cut wedges. Cut the frittata into wedges and sprinkle each wedge with some freshly chopped parsley. Serve with a glass of chilled white wine. I'm thinking a Falangina or an SSS. Those two wines chilled would be so refreshing. And add a slice of crusty bread with that. Hope your staycation can also include eating this al fresco. Nothing more refreshing than eating a slice of frittata with some great chilled white wine, a slice of crusty bread, al fresco. Have a great staycation meal. And as mentioned, this could be a great weekend staycation meal, or really any day of the week. And by the way, this frittata also makes a great take-along lunch. If anyone is going back to school or back to the office, just wrap this in parchment paper and it will make a great lunch. And we have as a special guest today, Kathy Davis. She's going to, Kathy Davis, by the way, is a plant-based lifestyle coach. She's an author and CEO of a really interesting company called Veg Inspired. And, I think two of the hottest trends today, and I'm sure Kathy will agree, are plant-based diet and lifestyle, and also RVing. And Kathy's here to kind of combine the two for us. Right, Kathy?
Yes.
Tell us, I guess, if you can start off with maybe some tips. Everybody is hearing about plant-based diet, plant-based lifestyle. And if you don't really have time to research it, or if you're not a nutritionist or, into food and things like that, you might not have a clue as to how to turn your diet into a plant-based one. I thought maybe you could start off by giving everyone some easy tips.
That's great, Maria. And thank you so much for having me. Yes, I have actually been eating plant-based for about 7 years. And one of the easy ways that I found early on to level up my meals with more plant-based foods was to actually add more plant-based foods and allow those foods to crowd out the animal-based products. So how can I add a couple of extra vegetables to my meals? Or can I add a little bit more rice or a little bit? And I know everybody's like, no, not carbs, but I follow the starch solution and it's very carb heavy because that gives us our energy and that's exciting. And we want to be energized and fueled for the day.
Yes.
So adding more plants to your plate is one of my big tips. And then something else that I always tell people that are looking to eat more plants is really, go to the grocery store and try something new. Maybe the first week you're just dabbling in a new vegetable. Maybe the second week it's a new fruit. Maybe the third week you get excited and you try a new whole grain or a new type of sweet potato, and really looking at ways that you can add more whole plant foods. Not saying grab that vegan cheese because, from my perspective, a lot of those vegan products take some time to get used to. They're great
Yes.
if you like them as a quick analog switch. I really focus on more whole plant foods, which has
Yes.
allowed me to really take control over my health and wellness and just fuel my energy and fuel my, cookbook writing and my business and all of that. It really
Yes.
allows me to stay energized and have that energy during the day.
Yes, and I love you mentioned cheese because my diet is actually mainly plant-based. The only thing I've been a vegetarian for many, many years, but the only thing that I haven't been able to get out of using, and I don't do it all the time, but I love vegetables and fruits. That's like my diet is filled with that, but the cheese. And I try to do like the lower fat and things like that. But yes, I have not found a really good veggie plant-based cheese yet. There's a couple of things that are kind of contenders, but occasionally if I do want cheese, I'll just use the real thing. So that's the only thing I haven't been able to get out of. But I agree, it does take a while to get used to those veggie based cheeses. That takes a while. So, but that's a great idea. And the other thing is inspiring. I think that we're almost in fall now, right? So I always get inspired by the new veggies and fruits that are there, right? So now you have a new season, get inspired, try this with some of the new fruits and veggies for the new season, I think, correct?
Yes, and it's a fun segue. So I actually started way back 7 years ago. My husband made us a cheese sauce
Uh-huh.
using butternut squash, and we've since
Oh, wow.
modified and perfected it. But here we are in the fall season
Yes.
talking about cheeses.
Mm-hmm.
And you could do a queso using butternut squash, some salsa, maybe a little bit of cashews, a little bit of that magic nutritional yeast that all plant-based people seem to talk about.
Yes, I use
But you
that all the time.
and it gives it that cheesy,
Cheesy
buttery kind
flavor.
of flavor.
Uh-huh.
So, but it's fun, and sometimes it's just as simple as trying it. When I was a pretty much a resistor to eating plant based. I'd grown up on the standard American diet, and I was
Uh-huh.
like, I want to be healthy, but I'm not sure I'm ready to give up burgers, blue
Right.
cheese, buffalo wings, those things that really were, nostalgia and things I
Right.
loved.
Uh-huh.
And what I found was the more plant-based foods I ate, the
Uh-huh.
more I enjoyed them.
Yes.
And
And
that really allowed me to expand the types of foods and the variety that I was eating.
yes, and I think, I mean, you might agree. I think you might agree. I feel better when I eat mainly plant-based foods. I just feel so much better. It just gives you, you just feel better. You just feel better. So, it's basically, I mean, there are some things out there that, there are these processed things now that they're saying, oh, this plant-based stuff. So you have to be careful. But, I think overall you're going to feel better. So tell us, I know we were going to combine the RVing and because RVing is such a hot trend. I haven't gotten into it yet. I am exploring it and looking at my new way to travel because I think it's just so cool, that you can kind of bring your house with you wherever you are. So, but the one thing we were talking about before we started is eating when you're traveling is so difficult to eat healthy. So tell us about that. Excuse me. Tell us how you stay eating healthy while you're on the road and RVing.
Yes, absolutely. Well, in an RV, you have a little kitchen, and
Right.
ours is a little bit bigger of a little kitchen since we
Uh,
do live in the RV full time.
yes.
But one of the things that I found was the more whole plant foods that I ate, potatoes, beans, rice, vegetables, fruits,
Uh-huh.
the easier it was to eat because I could find those at any grocery store.
Oh,
Right? It
yes.
didn't have to be a Whole Foods where I'm
Right.
looking for a specific product. So what
Right.
I found was I could easily make these easy meals. I don't love microwaves, but maybe it's a microwave baked potato in your hotel room
Right.
topped with store-bought pico de gallo and some avocado,
Yes.
some black beans that you rinse. Just simply just open the can. You'll have to get a can opener, open the
Yes.
can, rinse them in the sink in the hotel, dump it down. And it's just learning how to kind of navigate that. Something
Yes.
else I found early on was there are lots of vegan restaurants or restaurants with vegan options
Uh-huh.
all over. So we use an app called Happy Cow to
Oh,
find different restaurants that we want to enjoy.
uh-huh.
But we always keep in mind the intention, right? I always teach intention and progress over perfection
Uh-huh.
because I think sometimes we get so caught up in being perfect
Uh-huh. Yes.
that throws us off, right? We're like,
Exactly.
oh, I can't be perfectly plant based, so I just won't be plant based at all. Whereas if you just
Exactly.
focus on eating more plants, eating maybe it is a salad with those fed, those something that you eat at the restaurant.
Yes.
Maybe it is adding a baked potato at a restaurant instead of fries. It's
Mhm.
just picking those easy plant based options that really do fuel you and make you feel good. Like you said, make you feel better. Maybe you feel lighter. Maybe you're sleeping better and
Yes.
really tuning into how you feel so that you want to eat that way more often.
Yes, exactly. And it actually is simple. It's really a simple way to eat. I think people overcomplicate it, but like you said, I think the idea of not thinking, okay, I'm not eating this I'm not doing this perfectly. Just, trying a little bit at a time, baby steps, the old kind of saying of taking baby steps or dipping your toe in the water. If you don't make that first step, you'll never try it. And it's good to just try, some things. But I love that baked potato idea because you know what? That's been my new thing. I used to do the baked potato with like cheese on top, but as I said, I've been trying to get out of the cheese. So I've been doing the avocado, nutritional yeast, and the beans, just like you said, but I do the nutritional yeast and the avocado, and it is so good, really, really good. So, and that's a great way to be able to eat on the road. And because any supermarket, like you were saying, you can usually find that stuff really easily. So, and I think that's the key to it too, keeping it simple, because if it's too complicated, then people are going to be like, oh, just forget it. So but it is a simple way to eat, isn't it?
I find it to be very simple.
Yes.
One of the things that I really try to focus on, both in just social media content, whenever I'm talking to somebody, is
Uh-huh.
don't overcomplicate it. It
Right.
can be as simple as a whole grain, some veggies, some fruit,
Uh-huh.
some beans, some tofu, tempeh. Don't overcomplicate it. Maybe your intricate, exotic piece of the meal is a new sauce that you can whisk up or a
Yes.
sauce that you can throw into the blender with cashews. Like
Hmm.
don't make it so overcomplicated that you don't want to cook in the kitchen.
Right.
I talk a lot. Over my 3 different books, they kind of focus on a different part of plant-based eating.
Uh-huh.
Time, if you want, you can buy pre-prepped veggies. You can buy pre-prepped fruit. It doesn't have to be so hard. You don't have to be in the kitchen. And I always use broccoli as an example, right? You don't
Right.
have to be in the kitchen peeling the broccoli stem. You can
Exactly.
just buy broccoli slaw at the
Yeah.
grocery store.
Exactly.
Take that complication out and
Yes.
really focus on what you want and what your intention is around eating plant-based. Maybe you decide to do meatless Monday. Maybe you do that every lunch or every breakfast is going to be a plant-centered meal. And you really
Yes.
start to reframe the way that your plate looks so that you can gain that health and wellness and just that overall feeling better.
Exactly, exactly. I love it. Yes, it's so uncomplicated, and you're absolutely right. So, I mean, and a lot of these things are right now, I mean, the supermarkets, as you said, that it's so easy now, because if you don't want, you can't use that excuse, oh, I don't want to chop and clean vegetables, or wash vegetables all day long and all. But, you can buy a lot of that stuff that, I mean, as you said, I don't like the microwave, but hey, if you're on the road and your only option is microwave vegetables, plain veggies that you can get in the freezer aisle, it's better to have that than something that's really, something processed or whatever. So you can even do that. You can get the microwavable plain vegetables that you just really pop in the microwave and then add something to it to flavor it. So, or as you said, the broccoli slaw, lots of veggies and slaws and all kinds of things are already cut and washed for us. So, there's really not any excuse not to try it. So, but okay. So I love that one recipe with a baked potato and the butternut squash. That's a great idea. Cause I know I've experimented with, cashews are really good. Like they make really good creamy sauces and stuff. So I've used cashews, are great. I love the idea with the butternut squash and the cashews. That's really good for like a cheesy sauce. Any other recipes you can share? Any like another interesting?
Yes. Well, and so I wanted to add on to the easy recipes while you're traveling. One tip that I have is to mix up your spices ahead of time. So another easy recipe that I really enjoy is getting chickpeas and either bringing tahini with you or, buying tahini at the grocery store. It just depends on how you're traveling. If you're flying in an airplane, you might not want tahini smushing all over your suitcase. And then making a quick chickpea salad. So you mash up those chickpeas, mix them up with a little bit of that tahini, the juice of a fresh lemon, and then your seasoning mix. So that might be dill, that might be garlic powder, onion powder, and really master those seasonings at home, mix them together in a bag, toss them in your luggage. Right. Then you can buy the can of chickpeas, you can buy the tahini, the lemon right there at the grocery store, squeeze it all together. You can buy some bread, you can do it on lettuce wrap, you can do it on whole wheat pita. So you can really kind of make your own salad filling, your like chickpea salad, kind of like tuna salad or chicken salad, but with chickpeas. And it's easy and something that you can easily take, especially if you're traveling for a business lunch or you're going to a workshop or a convention where you need something quick that you can eat. So that's
quick
another
and healthy. And the spices and the flavorings, I think that's really important. I mean, I grew up just loving and eating vegetables. Like my nickname when I was little, they used to call me the little rabbit because I would just love vegetables and I always gravitated towards the vegetables. But, for people that don't really like or aren't used to eating lots of veggies, the flavorings, the seasonings, the spices, I think are the key because that brings out the really true goodness of those vegetables. So I like that idea. Put together your own favorite spice blend, your own favorite flavors, and make that up so that, yes, you can just add that to beans or vegetables while you're on the road. Well, all great ideas, all great tips. So Kathy Davis, thank you so much for being here. So tell us about where we can find your books and info on Veg Inspired and where we can find you.
Yes, absolutely. So all three of my cookbooks are on Amazon, but if you're not an Amazon supporter, you can snag the ISBN number and any bookstore can order them for you. So there's the 30-minute whole food plant-based cookbook, the super easy plant-based cookbook, and the budget-friendly plant-based cookbook. All three of them, the recipes are different with each. So you get over 100 recipes. It's just with each book. So it's really fun and makes plant-based eating unique and exciting. And my favorite recipe is the chickpea El Pastor tacos that's in the second book, which is the super easy plant-based cookbook. Wow. So you can snag them there. There's also links, as you said, on veginspired.com. So that's where my recipes really started, but it's really more than that. It's really about inspiring people to eat more plants. So I love being able to share with my Veg Inspired foodies, different recipes, different tips, different strategies. So if you are looking for some inspiration and you want to connect, you can find me on Instagram at Veg Inspired, or I have a free community. It's veginspired.com/foodies. And I do trainings and share exclusive recipes and strategies like that. But I love connecting with everybody. And Maria, thank you so much for having me on here today. I really enjoyed sharing these tips with your audience and the listeners.
Great. Well, thank you so much. And I'm sure we'll probably have you as a guest sometime in the near future too. So thank you so much, Kathy. And that's, definitely check that out for that plant-based lifestyle info. Thanks again, Kathy. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Maria.
I have a special guest with me today, Amanda Davis. And Amanda is an author and a high school art educator, but she not she's here not only because of that, but she's the author of this amazing book called 30,000 Stitches. And I wanted to get her on this podcast because, we're all thinking about the date, September 11th. And this book is kind of like a memorial, I guess, to that day. And there's so many ways we can honor the memory of the people that were lost on that day. But I think this book just is such a special way to honor that memory. It's not really something I guess we really want to remember, but anyway, we have to remember the fallen and what it meant to our country's history. So I'm sorry, Amanda, I keep talking and talking. Thank you for being here. Tell us a little bit more about this 30,000 Stitches is the name of the book, right?
Yes. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me, Maria. Yeah, it's nice to be able to have this space to talk more about this special story. And the story itself, so it's a creative nonfiction picture book. However, I say picture books are for all ages.
Yes.
There's a lot we can learn from picture books. And it tells the true story of the American flag that was placed over Ground Zero days after 9/11.
Yes.
And it started getting really torn and really tattered. So construction workers decided to take it down, and it got stored away for several years until another disaster occurred in Greensburg, Kansas, where a massive tornado destroyed the majority of their town. And volunteers from New York and surrounding areas decided they wanted to go down and help the town rebuild, just like how people came to New York to help rebuild after 9/11.
Right.
And residents of the town in Greensburg, they asked the volunteers to bring a memento from the World Trade Center, kind of in solidarity.
Wow.
And the plan was so the flag emerged. So they decided to bring the flag down there, retire it, ceremonially burn it and bury it in a memorial park down there.
Yes.
But instead, the residents down in Greensburg started patching it back together using flags. And I'll show you a page from the book.
Yes.
Flags that they had salvaged from their own tornado. The Boy Scouts had gone around and started collecting flags on the streets. And so they started patching those into the New York flag to kind of fill in the holes.
Wow.
And that spurred, and so it ended up looking like really kind of like a patchwork flag, one big flag with a lot of small flags in it.
Yes.
And so that spurred this idea that, well, you know what, we're going to restore this flag back to its original form. So back to 13 stripes, 50 stars. And we're going to do that by the 10th remembrance of 9/11.
Right.
So flag went on to travel across all 50 states, touching many hearts, many hands, going into various communities, teachers, students, soldiers, lots of different people stitched this flag back together in each of the states. And so it really became a symbol of unity and hope. And it did return on the 10th remembrance of 9/11. It returned to New York, where it resides now at the September 11th Memorial and Museum.
Wow, that is an amazing story. I love this idea because I think, as I was starting to say, it's not a date that we all really want to remember, but we have to because it's an important part of our history. And also you have to honor all of the people that lost their lives. But I love it that I think it gives a little bit of inspiration and hope, and it's a kind of a nice way also. It's a really nice way to remember that day. And so what inspired you to write this? How did this come about?
Yeah, great question. So I'm actually, as you mentioned at the beginning, a high school art educator, and every year I strive to teach about 9/11. And so on the 10th remembrance of 9/11, I was flipping through some magazines, and in this art magazine, there was this little blurb about the story of the flag.
Right.
And so I knew I wanted to teach about the events of that day, but I also wanted to teach about the unity and the hope and the resilience that came after. And so when I found this story, it was a great example of that. And I knew that I found my lesson. So we learned all about the National 9/11 flag. And then for viewers that are watching on your YouTube, if you can see that, you can see the flag project that we did. We made our own flag after that. And we kind of talked about what it means to us to be an American, our identities, and we each got a square, kind of similar to how they patched together the actual flag. They used patches. So we each got a little square patch and did some visuals and then put it all together to really mimic that idea of we're stronger together and we can overcome hard things together, because that's really one of the main things that's at the root of this story and what drew me to this story. Is that idea of kind of unity and overcoming hard things.
I think that's a great message, especially for, for your students, definitely. So I love that message. Besides the, 9/11, that's the message, definitely, is overcoming difficulty. And I think the art, is something that helps, right, to overcome something like that. It's inspiring and healing, right? Art is something that is healing. Wow. So what's your favorite part about writing 30,000 Stitches? What was your favorite part?
There was a lot of favorite parts, but I have to say probably it started right at the beginning. When I was doing my research, I also have a background in journalism. So I love talking to people, learning people's stories, doing interviews, and just connecting with people. So I knew if I was going to, I decided, so after I did the lesson, I decided, you know what, like several years later, I started writing and illustrating for children. I've always loved writing and illustrating, but I dove into that a little later, and I came back to this story because I realized how powerful it was when it was made accessible to the younger generation. So that was why I decided I'm going to try to write this for children, for a younger audience. I knew if I was going to do that, I felt this pressure to really get it right too, because the weight of the topic and the story and all the people that were involved. So I spent a lot of time reaching out to people and connecting with people. And I started with the New York Says Thank You Foundation. They're the foundation that they volunteered to bring the flag down to Greensburg and kind of start, they did the whole restoration tour. So I reached out to them. They connected me with some really special people involved in the tour. I spoke to, for example, like the Ground Zero superintendent, who was the keeper of the flag. He kept it for 6 years in his shed before it was emerged and brought back down to Greensburg. Spoke to a lot of the volunteers and just learning their stories and kind of the power of our stories. That's something that I really always come back to, like the power of telling our stories, the power of learning about other people's stories as a way to connect and come to a better understanding of one another. That's also what I try to do with students in the classroom, like do projects so that we can learn about one another's stories. So to answer your question, one of my favorite parts was talking to the people, and still is, because I'm still talking to people who stitched this flag or were involved in some way, or 9/11. So learning their stories and really, because that's why I wanted to write this book, to make these stories more accessible, and hopefully people can be inspired by them.
Definitely. I think it's very inspirational. So tell us about, I know you already showed us that picture of the flag. I wanted you to tell us about the art in the story. Like, what do you feel the art brings to the meaning of the story? Because as we were saying, art is also a healing thing. It's inspirational, but and show us, or I know you did show us the flag, but what is one of your favorite spreads from the story?
Yes. So Sally Warren Comport is the illustrator. She did an amazing job, in my opinion. I think that she really captured the layers within the story through her actual art and texture, and she used actual fabric, and there's just so many things that she kind of layered into this story that bring additional meaning to the story and the words. And so one of my favorite spreads I'm showing here is comes towards the end. It's actually the last stop of the flag's journey, which was in Joplin, Missouri, at another site that was destroyed by a tornado. So this was the 10th remembrance, the 10th anniversary of 9/11 is when it stopped in Joplin. But I love this spread because to me, well, what do you see, Maria? Can you see?
It looks like a flag, and it's just people from all walks of life, right? Transporting this flag. So you have all these people coming together, bringing the flag. So they have one mission. Am I headed like in the right direction? Is that they're coming together?
However you interpret it, but that is how I interpret it as well. Yeah.
Yes.
And I love this page.
I love that. I think that it brings people together with one mission. But I was just thinking, wow, if that flag could talk, imagine all the stories it could tell us. So interesting. Yes. I love it. I love that. Yes. I love that story. Just love it. And I think it's, also wonderful that it's also geared towards younger people too, because they get, there's so many unpositive messages out there. This is brings a nice positive message to them, and something that, who knows, maybe they'll decide to research further and, look into that further.
Yep. Yeah. I also want to add too, it's hard to see on this page, but the illustrator, she often incorporates what I like to call little meatballs, which are kind of the details in the art, but there's all different, she uses like headlines from magazines, and
I noticed that. I started seeing that. Oh, that's great.
So inside the flag, it's really showing the healing and the journey that not only the flag went on to heal and transform, but also the people, because you're seeing the flag's journey start in New York, end in New York with the Statue of Liberty here. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh, that I could not see. Oh, wow. That's
wonderful. So that idea of healing and transformation, which I think we can all use a bit more of now. So in research, definitely there's a lot of back matter in the book. I also love that about picture books. You can go to the back and there's just more information.
Yep. Yes. I mean, I know your book has tons of research, but what I meant is for kids, they're always online or doing stuff. It'd be great if that really sparks even more interest, in that topic, and they take it upon themselves to even delve a little more in the topic. But I know you have tons of research and stuff in that book. So it is definitely something that it's just a great read, I think, for adults as well as for kids. So I guess lastly, I just wanted to ask, is there any message? I know we touched upon some, but is there a message that you hope readers take away from the story?
Yeah. So like I said, I wrote the book for children, but I think that there's a lot of relevant things that we can all learn from the story.
Yes.
And, those themes of unity, of hope, of resilience that we can, when we work together, when we come together, we can overcome hard things. And it's really a story about humanity and connection. And like I said, the power of sharing our stories. People came out from all walks of life to stitch this flag, and they shared their stories, whether it was stories of loss or pain or love. They shared those stories, and therefore, we're feeling more connected, because we all, in some sense, in some way, have experienced, those universal emotions. So that idea of just kind of this shared humanity, and I also hope too that it is a great resource for educators, families, and so that it can make difficult topics accessible to talk about.
Yes. And I think it's a great way to, every year now we have September 11th, all kinds of remembrances, but I think in classrooms, that's a great project, a great thing to read, to, if you're going to, I don't know if the right word is celebrate, but remember that day. That's definitely a great book to make a tradition in, classrooms for that day. It's such a special book. It brings a lot of inspiration and hope in many ways. So I love it. Amanda, tell us, so where can people find the book and find you? And
Yeah, so you can go to my website, which is just www.amandadavisart.com.
Okay.
You can find a book on there. You can find a lot of different activities for kids too, because
Oh, that's
again,
great.
we've reached a generation where the school age generation where they weren't alive during 9/11. So this really
Yes.
is teaching them history and helping them make connections from the past to the present. And what are some simple things that we can do today to honor and remember? So for example, I have like a helping hand activity because this is, again, it's all about like helping each other in service to one
Yes.
another. So there's a lot of activities on my site. There's some like geographical ones, Map the Flags Travels.
Uh-huh.
That's available there. And then I also wanted to mention too, we have going on right now a little series called Voices from the Flag.
Uh-huh.
It's really highlighting some of the special stories of some of them are the stitchers, like so the
Uh-huh.
people who actually place stitches in this flag.
Oh, wow.
Some of them are the honor guard who carried
Uh-huh.
the flag around to keep it safe in every
Uh-huh.
state. Some of
Uh-huh.
them are telling the stories about the logistics of how this project like came about.
Yes.
Some of the volunteers. So that's happening right now up until September 11th, just as
Okay.
another way to kind of honor and remember these stories and also hopefully inspire people. So you can follow that on social media and
Yes.
on my website. It's also on my website and the Worthy Kids website. And I'm on social media and Instagram at Amanda Davis_art and Twitter just at Amanda Davis Art.
Great. Well, thank you for that, Amanda. And it's a great way, an inspirational way to remember the day of September 11th. So just, check that out. Thanks, Amanda, for being here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maria.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to the Maria Liberati Show, where food meets art, travel, and life. This is Maria Liberati, wanting to also thank my producer, Britton Roselle, and my special guest for this week's show, Amanda Davis, the author of 30,000 Stitches, and Kathy Davis, the plant-based lifestyle coach and author. And don't forget to like and share and review this month, the month of September's episodes, to be entered in a giveaway drawing for a copy of one of my books. Just share on social media, hashtag The Maria Liberati Show. If you try the frittata that I gave a recipe for, take a picture, share it on social media, hashtag The Maria Liberati Show. I'd love to hear if you try the recipe, if you do anything different, something that might make it better, or some other touch that you want to add to the dish. Please let us know. We'd love to hear. And you can find me on marialiberati.com, on Twitter at Maria Liberati, on Facebook at Chef Maria Liberati, on Instagram at Maria Liberati, on the Basic Art of Italian Cooking by Maria Liberati channel on Roku, and let's see, on Xena Media, the Basic Art of radio station, and LinkedIn. You can find me at M Liberati, and my book series, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking. You can find the book series anywhere books are sold online, and many bricks and mortar stores have the books. Until next week, peace, love, and pasta.